theme song for the Gear Podcast. Uncle Leon.
Uncle Troy.
How you going, buddy boy?
Good. We're here in the flesh for today's pod.
Flesh.
Season 2 begins right now, kids.
Yep. Season 2024 is kicking off with a bang. My hair was looking shit, man. Like, I just have to deal with that.
It's
I don't know where I'm going to look.
Hair.
I'm not used to doing this with you. Leon's here in person, everybody. Not trick photography. We're not green screening or anything. He's actually here. He's made it all the way to Morley.
Now, how could we prove to people that this is indeed real?
You know what we should do? You want to do the special handshake? Not that one.
All right.
The Stonecutters one.
Oh, the Stonecutters one.
We'll say goodbye with the Stonecutters handshake, everybody.
There you go.
So, yeah. How you going, man?
Pretty good.
What is it, the fourth?
It's the 4th today, Troy.
Fucking hell.
We're definitely in the twilight zone of the year. I'm well. Had Christmas and New Year and didn't get food poisoning or sunburn or anything like that. I didn't miss the bus to the airport or anything like that. So I'm all good. All good.
For the record,
feeling relatively fresh.
Good. I also didn't miss a bus to the airport, just so everybody's aware. That's not related to me. But, mate, I'm feeling pretty good as well. Not that you asked, but that's cool.
Why would you?
Yeah, stunned.
How was New Year's?
It was all right. I gigged. Did a gig at the old Basso Hotel. That was okay. Had a couple of people come down for that. They did a balloon drop.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had the whole stage. And
that's a bit fancy, isn't it?
I was told pre-gig that I'm the one that was going to pull the string. Didn't happen. A lady named Sue, who I think was a manager, she pulled the cord to drop the balloon. So that was nice of her to do that, but would have been nice for me to start my year off well. Yeah. But big changes though, mate. I got a new desk.
I was going to say,
what do you think about that?
Troy has a pretty lovely sit-stand desk in here, and there's a keyboard mat, and there's a new screen, and because you were using the Slate Ravens, hey?
Yep. I don't know if you can see it in the back there. It's probably lent up against a bookcase, but yeah, I'm
over there.
In the corner. The old Ravens have been retired, buddy. They I moved into the studio. Sorry, I'm going to keep fussing with this mic until I'm happy. So everyone, hopefully,
how many years have you had that? Like you had those when we did Back to Zero.
I had one of them. Mm-hmm. I bought the first one in 2017, approximately January 2017, sometime in there. And then when I moved into this studio, which has been about 6 years, if you can believe that.
Wow. I
think I got the keys like between Christmas and New Year's in like 2017. So yeah, it's been like a fraction over. So this time 6 years ago, we were painting this place, mate.
Yeah.
So, and I was actually thinking about painting it again over the Christmas break, but I just don't have time to do that. Unfortunately, I've had to kickstart the year early with other stuff. But I got the furniture, so the core station, which you've obviously seen, and for those of you that are unaware, it's like 2 touchscreen monitors, or it's the Slate Ravens are a touchscreen monitor that allows you to control whatever, recording software or in general things that you want to do with a touchscreen. And they look really cool. They are functional, maybe not as life-changing as I'd hoped. So when I bought these things, right, this kind of goes for a lot of things as well. Like just try to be semi-forward thinking, not 100% forward thinking, but in my brain, I was like, in 2016, 17, I'm like, man, I want to get one of these touchscreen monitors.
Because it's the future.
That feels like it's going to be the future and not faders. Because even at that point, I was doing a lot of mixing, and I continued to do a lot of mixing live on my phone or my iPad, because I can do that with the mixing desks that I have. So get the touchscreen monitors, no problemo. And when updates happen, the desk will just work, or the touchscreens will work, and it'll be cool. In the touchscreen too, there's a lot of cool macro things you can do.
That's right.
And that's all awesome. But then over time, I just sort of found they didn't really work as well with my old Mac Pro. And so that made me stop using them as much. 1 was actually great. 2 was not as great for stability. And then all the macro stuff I do with SoundFlow. So it's they became a little bit redundant. And they also, unfortunately with that situation, they took up so much space. And I ended up with like about yay much desk space.
Yeah.
Because the rest was like 2 slanted screens. And now I have this beautiful second-hand IKEA Berkant desk, I think it is. I think you've got the same one, right?
Yeah, something like that. I've got the one that's not electronic, but it works great. I love it.
So, 80 centimeters deep. That's awesome. and 120 centimeters wide. Not a huge desk, just perfect size. And
again, the people of the world can't see this, but you've got all your outboard in one single rack, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, because when I moved in, I reckon I had 2 or 3 racks wide of just like
which
gear.
looks awesome when someone walks into a studio and they see, you know, a lot of gear racked up. But if you're not using it, it's just in the way.
That's a problem, you know. Like, I think with guitars and guitar amps, which is obviously more what we tend to talk about on this show, but I'm more inclined to buy and keep things like this, because I feel like I'm not going to find another Marshall like that, you know, just easily without great expense. Some of the gear though, like, you know, Elisa's Quadriverbs, that feel like it would be a good idea to, you know, maybe hook that up and use that on a mix sometime. It just, the idea, I don't know, the idea is better than the reality of it. I just have like a rack full of stuff I never used. So yeah, it's nice to get rid of it, have more space for more guitar gear and more people when they come in too. So yeah, and it's a bit messy at the moment, but it feels more comfortable in here, to be honest. Just having, you know, different desk, less racks, and surrounded by more amplifiers.
Changing it up a little bit, it's nice.
Yeah.
I pulled a few things out of my rack yesterday, the day before. So I took my PCM 70 out.
Oh yeah.
It's awesome, but I just don't use it.
Right.
And it's US power as well, which is a bit of a shame. So, I mean, it's not hard to run. It was awesome having it patched in, but I took that out. So I just had some extra space, but I put my H90 in there.
Oh, yeah.
And because they've added Bluetooth to it, I can edit it
That's cool.
remotely. So it just lives in there, and, you know, I can patch that in whenever I want with the Switchblade and a few other things. And there's, again, like less stuff. And I've been selling, I'm just in that, it's the start of the year, so I'm selling any pedals that didn't get used. Sold a little travel guitar, sold a few other bits and pieces, you know, so it's sort of like, it's been 4 days and I haven't bought anything. And there was a Recto recording preamp that popped up and I messaged the guy, but he hasn't got back to me. So it's still 4 days going. I haven't bought any new gear in 2024. We'll see how long that streak runs.
Well, that Recto preamp, because you saw that and messaged me immediately. I feel like I remember seeing one of those in Cosmic years ago. Is that right?
Yeah, and they were really expensive. And I just want to hear how bad the DI is, you know, because it's an analog speaker sim in there. So
is it the cab clone?
I think it's pre-cab clone, man.
Right.
Like those are
pretty controversial, hey? Or is it just that Glenn Fricker did a video and hated them and then everyone hated them after
the original cab clone's just a resistive load, so it doesn't sound great.
But like it's got a bit of EQ on it, right? Like it's got a
a little
tone to
bit,
it.
but I think it's an analog speaker sim as well. But the newer ones have IRs and it's a reactive it's a 2 notes thing in there. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, like the Badlander and the Mark 7, I think I'm pretty sure they have like a proper
really
thing. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I didn't know that the Badlander had that.
I would like to get a Badlander. I see a lot of people talking about it, and you know they make a rack version of it as well, which is pretty appealing. But again, it's a boosted Recto. You know, you can't see the Recto right there, but you know, got plenty of those things hanging around.
Because the recording one, is that that's a 2000s era thing, right?
Yeah. I think it'd be the same preamp as a multi-watt, or I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Michael Toren's listening to this and he can let us know.
I don't think Michael Toren has one. I'm fairly certain he doesn't.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, should we just quickly?
We need to shout out. The homeboy, Michael Toren, because we got some gifts from him. We got some cookies.
Yeah, we should start off
really nice.
the entire episode talking about our friend Michael Toren. Firstly, how do you like those cookies?
Excellent. Which ones did you get?
I got the green ones, macadamias, I think.
Ooh, I got different ones.
Which ones did you get?
One's like a peppermint shortbread,
Ooh.
and one's a gingerbread. And they're fantastic.
So what I liked in the macadamia ones, it's half chocolate, but on a diagonal, right? So
I've had those ones. They're very good, man.
Here's the biscuit, half like on a diagonal chocolate. But you know what was so
Did
special
you taste
about
the
it?
biscuit?
What I loved was that you took a bite into the chocolate. It was the absolute perfect depth between tooth hitting the chocolate and then tooth hitting the biscuit. It was could not have asked for anything more.
For
Very
anyone
satisfying.
interested, I think it's Kelly's Cookies. So
Yeah.
Kelly with an EY at the end. Michael Toren will let us know in the comments.
Yep.
But yeah, very good cookies. But that wasn't the only thing, Troy.
Let me tell you a story, Uncle Leon.
Yeah.
Let me tell a little story. Michael Toren, friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
He sends me a message. He says, what's your address? I'm like, well, I tell him my address. I won't tell all you my address unless you want to send me some more stuff.
You need to sign up to Troy's OnlyFans if you want the address.
I gave him my address, and I'm like, well, I don't know what this is about. And then I messaged you and said, oh, did Michael ask for your address? And you told me you're on the cookie list. I said, fuck yeah, I'm on the cookie list. I can't wait to get some cookies. Anyway, a couple of days go by, and Michael says to me, oh, are you more of a Friedman person or more of a Bogner person? And I was like, well, actually, I'm probably more of a Friedman type of a person. I'm not sure why he's asking this question, but I tell him. And then he asks, a couple of days go by, and he says, just checking, what's customs like in Australia? And I tell him, it's not that big of a deal. And he proceeds to say, well, I'm sending you some cookies, but the shipping on the cookies was so expensive that I thought I should throw something else in to make it worthwhile. Put some electronics in there. I'm like, oh, well, that's super nice of you. Thank you, Michael. Didn't want to ask. I want to be surprised, like, Santa Claus on Christmas morning. So anyway, a couple of days go by, a little box arrives. What's in the little box? Well, we already know there's some cookies in there. But what else is in the box, Uncle Leon? Why don't you ask me?
What's in the box, Troy? Do you want to show people what's
shall
in the
I
box?
go get it out?
And I had very similar messages as well. So, one, being on the cookie list is pretty great, but I was very, very surprised to open it up. This is what Troy got. So thank you, Michael.
Oh, wait, can I do the YouTube thing?
You do the
so
YouTube
we're going
thing.
to check out this.
There you go, and let's point.
So this is a Salvation Mods JJ Dirt module for the
Synergy system.
Yeah, Synergy system or Randall MTS. Obviously based on the sort of JJ series amp, the Friedman sort of thing.
Now,
Jerry
JJ
Cantrell.
stands for Jerry Jantrell, right?
What is the second J for? Is the first J for Jerry, or does anybody know?
Is it double Jerry? What's the deal?
Yeah. Joey Jojo Savage.
That's the worst name I ever heard in my life. No, Joey Jojo.
No, Joey Jojo Junior Shabu.
That's right.
So anyway, I got this module, and it's amazing. Like, it took me a week before I could plug it in because I took a few days off from the studio. So I've put this on Instagram, and I've said to Michael, this thing's amazing. Thank you so much for sending it. But I'm not the only person that got a gift, Uncle Leon.
Because Michael also sent me the Shiver, which is the Bogner Shiva. It's got a few extra things. And I was saying to Troy when I got here, it's Alice in Chains facelift. So you've got, I don't know, you've got dirt.
I've got dirt.
And I got the facelift module. So Michael, it's kind of like you've looked into our souls and you know what we like. And that one's also very good. So I will have to, I'll have to borrow this at some stage to demo it, but I'll do one with the Shiva over the next week or so. Again, just a really cool flavor and incredibly generous. So
yeah. So thank you for that. But let me tell you about this module, man. Like, we should have had a little blast before before we started recording.
Give us
today.
a look, mate.
Have a look. It's really cool.
So my understanding with these is you need a donor module, right?
Yes,
so you need an original like MTS or a Synergy module, and then Salvation will modify it and change the faceplate.
There's a few, because I looked into it, I think there's a few that you can't use. So I think like the Fender types it won't work on, but anything else like Gainy, I believe it will work.
So this has the FAT switch and the C45 switch and the JBE.
Or the HBE, yeah. Oh, yeah, JBE.
Yeah, JBE mode, so, just like the amp. So it's obviously not made by Friedman, but, I'm fairly certain the specs for this stuff are widely available, and they seem to do pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how much gets changed. I think so you can send a module and it costs X amount of dollars to modify the module into the amp. I think you can just buy the thing as well. I'm not sure if he just has a bunch of ones. I think they just have a bunch. Yeah. So I'm not sure how Michael did it. He might have just bought the module as it is, but it's really, really good. I have tried probably maybe 8 to 10 Synergy modules. So I own the Deliverance and the Ecstasy, and then you have a couple that you've
That's what's here, the 5150 and the TDLX, and I've got the 800 module and the
really good.
2CP.
Yep.
And the Uberschall's really good.
Yep. And I feel like there's a couple of others I tried. I might have tried the Friedman B, like the first one, the original one. And that was cool. I didn't love that one so much, though.
Yeah, actually, they were not my least favorite. Surprisingly, the Diesel VH4 one was my least favorite.
Those are really hit and miss, man. Like with people from... I'm in that Facebook group, the Egnator MTS Synergy Facebook group. And it's funny. People's opinions on that are pretty mixed, like the VH4 one. But the thing is with it, man, like sometimes with these modules, like firstly, the knobs are really tiny. So it's so stupid, but like the experience of dialing the tone in feels a little weird because
on the 2-channel ones as well, they're like, you're doing this instead of this.
But this is just big knobs. We love a big knob on
We love a big knob on this podcast.
And you turn the knob and you flick the switch and it just sounds really good. I found it really quick and easy to get a tone out of this thing that I liked. It's got so much gain as well. Like it's I really liked it at like 9 o'clock there on the gain. I sort of found that past about 6 was too much for me. And that's without the HBE mode on because that was just way too hairy. I'm still really... I've like looked it up and I've listened to Dave talk about what the C45 thing does. Do you remember what it does off the top of your head?
No. But I know it's some filtering thing, right?
I can't remember, man, but that was cool. I think I liked it. Oh, no, I definitely liked it in both situations. I don't know which one I liked more. I actually quite like the fat setting as well. So I'm running it. I plugged it straight into my Synergy Syn 30 head and then into a 2x12, which I changed the speakers. I've got V30s in this. Oh, maybe can you see the cab? Yeah,
there it is.
Right in the back corner there. Put some V30s in the back there. Some 2016 UK-made V30s. Not that it matters, really. In fact, we'll come back and talk about another friend of the show in a second. So it sounded great. It took no time to get a great sound, and I just wish that the gig I'm playing tomorrow required more distortion instead of having to play songs by Justin Timberlake, which is in fact what I'm going to have to do. So yeah, immediate impressions are that it's awesome. I am really looking forward to running it through the big Fryette power amp, the 292, and then into the whole recording system. You know what I was thinking about doing, Uncle Lee? I don't know if I've mentioned this to you. So, and this is what the Gear podcast is about. You know, just spitballing some ideas here. So, you know, I've got the KHE over there. That's the full amp selector. You're aware of that. And everything in that goes to like the cabinet outputs, the cabinets in my live room. And that's awesome. But I have been thinking for a little while, what if I want to do multi-amp sort of situation? Oh, yeah. And I do have another ISO booth, which is for vocals. But I was thinking about bunging a hole in the wall and just running, well, not, running the cable through the wall, obviously doing it properly, but putting a instrument line through for combos.
Nice.
So that'd be cool. But also a speaker line and another mic tie line maybe. So I could run a, dual sort of amp thing.
That'd be fun.
But specifically leaving the Synergy stuff in that room with a cabinet. Because there's so many flavors available with the Synergy rig.
And once you kind of get them, even though they can do a lot, there's a few sweet spots on those modules per module.
Yeah, but it might be nice to have that, like, that supplemental sound. Because, with the Marshall or the Mesa Boogie or the 5150, it's like, yeah, cool, that's your main sound. And then I'm just going to have a
that's
little bit...
That's your big dog.
Yeah, that's your Tiger Woods big dog.
That's your Tiger Woods.
So that's on one side and then the other one's on the other. So, and it would probably, noise and all that sort of stuff aside, that would probably not be a terrible idea. I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be that hard. Just got to run a cable through the wall.
Do.
Just, that's how I live my life, mate.
Why not? That's interesting.
I said if it feels good, do it. Anyway, go on.
I ran so yeah, having said that, talking about the Synergy modules, didn't love the Friedman ones, but I ran the IRX into the Synergy power amp over Christmas.
Nice.
Sick. It's so good. Mm-hmm. It's very, very good. So my understanding is that's like the BE Deluxe module.
Yes.
Basically.
I think so.
I think we're correct there. It's really, really good. Like, again, for just a rock sound. And then, the Shiva's more... got its own thing going on. Mm-hmm. I think I like it more than the Ecstasy module. And it's got the facelift switch on there where it's just like, it's Jerry Cantrell.
I'm super hit and miss with the Ecstasy module, man. Like, I tried gigging with it. I sort of find, like, at least in the Syn 30, because I quite like the clean channel in that, even though it's not like going to blow your socks off, but it just works.
But it's fine, A lot of the time when you're gigging, you just need something that's fine and predictable and easy to use.
Also, slight tangent. Sometimes when people make comments on high gain amps, like the clean channel in a high gain amp, they have no idea what a clean sound should sound like.
Yeah.
And I know that from experience because I didn't know what a clean sound was for a long time either because I liked heavy metal. But you know what? Like, the most sterile guitar sounds in the world are like metal guys' clean sounds.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
awful. awful guitar sounds. So, and it's just funny because I was doing a bit of reading on the Splawn again the other night, just my bedtime reading. And, the clean channel on the Splawn sounds awful. It's like, no, it sounds fine. Like it's actually quite a decent, big, clean sound. It's like, it's just clean. Like, put some effects on there. It sounds fucking wicked. It's not like an ice picky, ultra sterile sort of tone. It just sounds like a fucking clean sound. So anyway, that's the same as this guy on the Sin 30. My point being, sorry to get back on topic, with the Ecstasy, like trying to balance the blue channel for like a mid gain thing, and then the high gain red. It's like both of them felt too gainy, and like for me at least, I couldn't dial it in a way that balanced right. Like maybe it's I liked all of the sounds for various things, but in terms of like the versatility of what I needed from my gig, it just didn't really work well. Like I couldn't get the blue channel to be like clean enough to really be useful. But when I got the sweet spot on the gain, it was amazing. It was just too dirty to do like everything. Whereas
there's a reason like Steve Lukather has been using the Ecstasies forever. Like it's a very distinct sound. If you were playing mostly lead guitar in quite a dense band mix, and you want your solos to just have that fatness to them, it's like more a fat thing than a sizzly thing, like a Marshall or even a rectifier or something like that has that like.
Isn't it kind of? I think I might be talking on my ass, but I always thought it was like more of a hot rodded Marshall sort of.
I believe so, yeah.
In that category of tone.
I think there's just slightly more filtering and things like that, and
Yeah, it's still awesome. Like, don't get me wrong, but I haven't been able to find a use for it, like gigging wise. Same as this. Like, I think in reality, oh, there we are. This guy's probably too hot for a lot of gigs that I do, but in the lower gain, I mean, that's what I liked about it. I said with the Ecstasy low gain, I didn't really dig it that much. It felt like it's just sort of the tone collapsed in on itself when it got like lower than about 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
To clarify, the sort of pub gigs you do here, the most important sound is when you play an A chord that it sounds like AC/DC.
Yeah.
That's the sound you have to nail. You need some sounds that are slightly cleaner than that. Normally, you just roll your volume control down and use if you got a neck single coil or something, that'll cut it because, you're playing. So the Spectrum is the heaviest thing you're ever going to play is Enter Sandman.
Yep.
Yep. So put a boost in front of a Marshall and you can play it. It's fine. The other end of the spectrum's like, I don't know, something that was probably played on an acoustic guitar on the recording, but you need a cleanish sound like Drive by Incubus or Shimdog.
Shimdog.
Those kind of songs like 90s diary rock, like Tonic, Fuel, all that kind of thing. That's the clean sound you need. So not totally clean, like AC30 adjacent. You need heaps of JCM 800 and you need a bit of ka-jung-jung-jung.
See, my tester songs are, on the heavy spectrum, Enter Sandman, what does that sound like? On the cleaner spectrum, how am I going to play Brown Eyed Girl with this?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Is it too dirty for that? Is it too crunchy? Is it whatever? So I actually got that. We were talking before we started recording because I've got to do this gig tomorrow and I'm trying to work out. I don't know if there's backline at this thing or what, so I'm just covering my bases. But I just want to play guitar this week, everybody. So it's been fun. I've got a couple of pedals I wanted to get into. So clean sound on that. That's cool. I boosted it, or I had not boosted. I ran the little Duke of Tone, which Chris, I need to give you your pedals back, buddy. But ran that into the clean sound and it sounds really good. That can give me like a bit more than just a flat clean sound, but it is not so dirty where it is like gonna blow your face off or anything like that. So anyway, Brown Eyed Girl, low gain, that works pretty well as a tester song. I like playing a bit of Learning to Fly, Tom Petty, for something low, medium, maybe a bit of medium gain there. And Tip of My Tongue.
Oh.
Can you play Tip of My Tongue? Is it going to sound okay?
There you go.
And as long as it covers those bases, we're all G, man.
And that is, it's...
And
again,
AC/DC,
there's different... If you were in America, the songs you would be doing for a classic rock gig would require probably a bit more grunt. Like every classic rock covers band I've seen there does wicked shit. Like they'll do Carry On Wayward Son and they'll do Fat Bottom Girls by Queen and they'll do, they'll do Skinner that's not Sweet Home Alabama, you know? So it's like the amount of crunch.
Yep.
And then they'll do a bunch of 90s stuff that's like probably originally rectos. So, you know, it's a different thing, but in Australia, it's like, I don't know. I feel like the spectrum is, it's like, don't be too much heavier than Angus Young. And don't be too much lighter than Malcolm Young. Like, that's it. Like, or Mossy. Like, your Mossy Strat.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which is just, sounds like Stevie Ray Vaughan. So, you know, it's about that much. Like, don't stay in your lane, guitar players. That's about as much as you need.
Yep.
And it is funny. It's like, that's the Australian tonal palette. And again, if you're doing a tribute band and you were doing, you know, Incubus, or you were doing Metallica and stuff like that, then you can bring your high gain amps out. But, you know, how many like, we've seen plenty of cover bands where it's like, I don't know, someone's playing a JVM or something on like the highest gain channel for the whole gig, and it's like, yeah, this kind of works, but also, man, that's a lot.
To be fair, I've done the equivalent of that using just like a Friedman sound in an Axe FX.
Oh man, I do it all the time. You know, I'm the worst offender in these things. Yeah, Mark Series. Yeah, this is fine to play Brown Eyed Girl on. But
we're going to do a cover gig tomorrow, so
yeah. Well, actually, I've been using the Brit 800 in the
cool.
Fractal for the cover stuff.
Is that new? That's old. No, that's old one, isn't it? It's
the old one. The old one's a 2204.
Helix has the new 800.
Yeah,
is that
yeah,
right?
yeah. Which actually sounds like an 800 now.
I haven't downloaded that firmware update yet. I need to do it.
It's pretty good. There's a Nobles in there. Nobles are, like, there's all the things you like, Troy.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, that was
how do we get onto this?
Who knows? Thanks, Michael Toren. This stuff
thank
is
you,
awesome.
Michael Toren.
We're going to do a bunch of recording with it and things like that. What was the other thing on my end? Oh yeah, so Verley Pass Effects, they put out a TC booster line driver.
Yeah,
because
that's
I
right.
borrowed one and thought it was awesome. I was like, please tell me that you're cloning this, and they were like, yeah, of course. So that's really, really good. I really like it but it's weird because you just turn the bass down, and as it cuts bass, it like boosts the mids.
Oh, okay.
And you just leave the treble basically at noon, and then you just turn the level up, and it's a really, really good thing to hit a Marshall with. I think it was Anthrax used that pedal into 800s, and that's sort of their sound.
Okay. Yep.
You know,
that makes sense.
It's 80s thrash. There's some sounds there, you know what I mean? Like,
they sound like they're playing the guitar so hard.
Yeah, yeah.
And it like inhumanly hard.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe that's
there's a video, I forget where it is. It's like Scott Ian backstage somewhere, and it's like on their warm-up rig. So it's electric drums, and it's just him playing like a practice amp. But he's just like destroying this thing.
Yep.
Like, you know, on Some Kind of Monster when like Hetfield's down picking something and he's like, yeah, the riff goes like this. And you're just like, that's pretty good. Like, I don't think anyone else can do that, James. You know, he's just like, it's like that. It's that good, you know? Yeah. And just watching, it's like so physical.
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting band. Like, have you listened to much Anthrax?
Yeah. It's been a while, but I just fucking loved Anthrax, man.
Yeah. And I didn't realize like the John Bush stuff was so grungy.
Right.
I can see why people hated it, and I can see why people loved it at the same time. I quite like, you know, the two classic eras. They've got some stuff, but like, you know, the Among the Living sound, I'm fairly certain is Booster Line Driver and probably an 800.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, that pedal, I feel like I didn't really hear anything about it, and then I watched an older video where he compared a bunch of drives maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and that was on there. I'm like, oh, I don't know anything about this. It sounds cool. But that was my first introduction. So
anyway,
it's kind of cool though. Like, maybe that is just something everyone's always talked about, but that feels like that's recently come into people's consideration.
I think because the integrated preamp has been so popular. So, which is just, you know, Meshuggah. Right. And then Fortin put out the Grind, which is
maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Their integrated preamp settings with a single knob. So the Fortin Grind's really, really good. It's, again, you put it in front of a Recto and it's a thing, like such a thing. But then the Booster Line Driver it's a different circuit. So yeah, it's cool that that's being recreated. Anyway, Verley let me borrow a TC 1210.
Yep.
It's great. It's understandable why people use this. But like a lot of these things, I was reading up about it, and you know, by reading up about it, I mean I watched Michael Nielsen's video on it and then found some old forum posts. when you read the manual, there's recommended settings in there.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a chorus setting, which is like you put the left knob to like 11 o'clock and the middle knob to noon and the right knob to 1 o'clock. And that's the chorus setting.
Right.
And that's the Lukather chorus setting, like photos of his rack. That's where it's set. So, you know, it's an amazing thing and it does loads of different things. You can like blend flanger and chorus and a whole bunch of things. But like the classic setting is literally just that chorus setting from the manual.
Right. Okay.
Which is really, really funny. Again, I guess that's why sound designers are hired and do things. So yeah, I hope they do it as a pedal because I think it'd be...
Yeah.
They did the 2290 as a pedal and it's a similar interface. So
that's an interesting series like that, whatever, like those TC rack units. Because I remember I had the 1140.
Yeah, the 1140 programmable EQ, yeah.
Yeah, well, no, it was not a program.
Not a programmable one.
Was that what it was called? Maybe. It was a parametric EQ.
Parametric EQ, yeah.
But I sold that because it was in... like dog shit condition. I bought it from a secondhand shop in Adelaide the first time I ever went to Adelaide.
Yeah, and I probably needed to be recapped. And
I did recap it.
Oh, really?
I did it myself, under the guidance of my old electronics lecturer. But it just always had this was so weird, man. It always had a noise in it and it was really intermittent. And I finally got rid of it like maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And it was like not being too noisy. The guy came to get it. He wanted to hear it plugged in and it fucking made the noise. But then the first time I ever noticed it, and I'd gone through this thing a few times, like I think knock the case and it stopped buzzing, but the sound still worked.
Interesting.
And I was like, what the fuck is happening here? And with him there, I said to him like, man, if you're happy to stick around, I sold it to him for like $200 as well. Like nothing. I saw one come up last week for $650 in like the same condition mine was in. So anyway, I said to him, if you're happy to wait for a minute, let me just try a couple of things out. I took the whole thing apart. And as it turned out, the chassis, like front plate and the side or something like that was touching and that was causing it to buzz. So I literally just put a bit of electrical tape in there and sold it to him. And he was like, he was going to use it for like like a church PA or something like that. It was a weird, well, not weird. It was just like not the sort of situation we would use it for.
That reminds me of, I think man, what was that? So my dad had an old Digitech DSP 128.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah. Still has it. And when I started playing, he was like, try this does reverb and delay and things like that. And it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Mm-hmm. And then the internal battery was long dead. So I changed that. And in taking it out of then I reconnected it, had this awful like ground hum.
Yep.
Like unusable. And I was like, oh man, I've like broken this thing. What do I do? And he was still working at uni at the time. So he was like, I know a guy, in the engineering division. I'll just give it to him and he'll sort it out. And where the lid connected to the rest of the chassis, there was a little grounding wire on, those little tabs. So it's a wire and there's a little like hook on the end and you put a screw through it.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. Like they use them in coffee machines and it's just a real standard thing. That had just that was held in place with a screw. So when I opened it, it just like flopped back into the chassis. I didn't notice it. And so he's like, easy fix.
Yep.
It's just, it's literally just this for future reference. So I always think about that anytime I open a piece of rack gear or anything. I'm like, is it one of those, like poor design, but also need to be aware of these things.
No, I had a similar thing with an old computer years ago, man. Like, because I used to build computers when I was with PCs. And I changed the motherboard or something in this computer and put the thing together and it didn't work. And I'm like, what's going on? And took it. This was a long time ago, and I had a friend who was a much bigger computer nerd than me. It was a Monday night, 9 o'clock. I'm like, dude, I'm stuck. I need some help. He's like, just bring it around. So sure enough, ran to his house. He pulled the whole thing apart. The computer worked when the motherboard was like outside of the chassis, not when it was inside. As it turns out, there was like a little metal standoff that was in there for the previous motherboard, and that was like touching something and shorting it out or whatever, and it just didn't power on. And then literally took that screw out, no problem. Oh, and another slight tangent, mate, because this is what we do. Drain Cleaning Australia, everybody. Go check it out. Oh my God.
You've got a few new YouTube channels you're
that one
digging, right?
That's been a really big discovery, man.
And what about the fish butchering one?
Yeah, there's another guy that he's just a Japanese guy and he butchers fish and it's amazing to watch and he eats it. But he was doing this video the other day about what was it? The big, I don't know how to say it, the massive, like 50 something, I think I sent you the video, but it's like a 50 something kilo fish, like big flat guy. And
sunfish?
No, it's the word looks like Oprah, but it's not Oprah.
Right.
Oprah, maybe, something like that. Anyway, he's cutting it open, and I just find it really fascinating, like the insides of it, you know. And he's talking about the liver, and he's like, "Oh, this has got so much vitamin A that it will like poison you if you eat it. You shouldn't eat that. I will eat it though." And he just like he eats this. I'm like, man, that would be no, not for me. You know, he cooks it and eats it, and he's like, "This might make me very sick, but I will eat it."
I remember reading something about paleontology, and they found these ancient hominids, you know, somewhere in southern Africa, and when they looked at what the cause of death was, they were like, there's like really, really elevated levels of whatever particular mineral it was. And they're like, they're basically like, this person would have had a horrible death. And it's probably because they've eaten the gallbladder or the liver of like a large predator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there was lots of speculation about like, was it a ritualistic thing where, you know, they killed this large predator, or were they just opportunistically like, I'm hungry and there's a dead lion, so I'll just cut it open and get the liver.
Yep.
And then, lots of problems.
See, I remember reading, I thought you were going to talk about something else, which is, I remember hearing a story about, like, I think it was mummies. Like, there was a thing in I want to say it's the 1800s. I don't have any proof of this, but I'm fairly certain this is a true story, where, like, the wealthy in the UK or something like that, it became a thing where they would, like, try and find them old mummies and, like, consume the whatever was remains. That was, like, a thing for a little while.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, if anyone has any more details on that, I could probably find the...
Sounds like the sort of people who would live on that island with Elon Musk. And what's that podcast you listen to where they always talk about the island?
The which island?
Is it Behind the Bastards?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The sponsor island,
The sponsor island, yes.
Behind the Bastards, yeah.
That's a good podcast.
Yeah, go check it out. We're talking
else?
about... Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. There's an island.
Yep.
They eat mummies on it. Speaker break-in, John Brown. That was a good video.
Yeah, John Brown. Just always bringing the goods. Did you watch that video?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. It was very, like, 300 hours, I think he did on the well, that was the longest one he did, right?
Yeah. We're all wrong, basically.
Yeah. Do you want to summarize the findings? It matters.
It matters, but maybe not as much as like turning the treble control on your ramp up does.
Yeah, like that's kind of what I got out of it too. It's like, yeah, I'm really glad he tested it. I'm sure he's not the first person to test it, but he did it publicly.
No, it was interesting, right? Because a lot of people say like, oh, you break the speakers in and they smooth out and all that kind of thing. And he's like, well, stuff's going up.
Yeah.
Which isn't what you would expect. And there's like clear measurable differences over time, but are they statistically significant, I guess, is the important thing there. Is it something you could get by twisting a knob on the amp?
He made a comment as well about, like, is this just like an ever-changing system where if given another 300 hours or like, longer, is it also going to change again? Is it going to go up or down?
And like, I'm confident John will probably test this and just like run a bass guitar through the speaker and see if like the low frequencies come up or something like that. But yeah, it'd be interesting. And yeah, he's always got some good insights into like, stuff I would just never think about. Like, is it the material that say like the cone is made of, or the dust cap and things like that? It's really interesting.
I thought the speaker break-in services that he sent his speakers to, and also you can check this video out. I think it only came out like 2 weeks ago. So really, all of our listeners go check out the other John Brown and his video on speaker break-in. It came out end of December, right before Christmas, I think, or right after Christmas, one of the two. Maybe right after Christmas.
It was a gift to us all, regardless.
Yeah. So he paid 2 different companies to do their own speaker break-ins, as well as doing them himself. And I just thought that was like clever, because obviously everyone's going to do it differently.
Yeah.
It's not a new thing. Like, I've heard about speaker break-in for a long time, and I thought it was just interesting to do that. Also to try and confirm the theories of Nolly, and then the guy from, what was the other one he mentioned? Jensen, I think it was. Yeah. Their own opinions on speaker break-in and how it works and how long it takes and so on and so forth. So, yeah, interesting. It's just, that's a weird one, man. Like, something that just is, it's kind of like in the same category as, you know, these Stradivarius. Is Stradivarius?
Yeah.
Not the power metal band.
Not
But-
la, da 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 da
Yeah.
da 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 da. What
But yeah.
song's that? Destiny?
I don't remember, man.
Something like that.
The song of theirs that I used to listen to a lot was I think it was called "I Walk Alone." My high school band, my buddy Gareth, put me onto that, and we listened to that a lot in 2004. Anyway, yeah, the violins being so old and the wood changing over time, like, does it change the sound or affect the sound? You know, it's just not something that you can do immediately to test it. You know, like, obviously a several 100-year-old violin is not something you can just like A/B. Well, yeah, with it back then and how it's changed now, it's not going to work like that. So it's interesting, sort of a test. So yeah, and mythology, it's good. This is the stuff that really needs to be busted within the things that we like.
Yeah, because ultimately, it's not going to change your life.
And also, man,
You know? like they're the interesting things. Like, maybe if it came through and it was like, oh, actually, this has a massive impact.
Yep.
You should worry about it. Most of these things where it's like, actually, all these things people talk about and, you know, wank on about, yeah, maybe there's some differences. Is it going to change your life? Almost definitely not. So, you know, shut up and get on with it.
Yeah, for the amount of effort it would take to, sorry, not amount of effort. Like, speaker break-in, for example. Like, not amount of effort. Let me start again. The amount of change that happens with breaking something in for like 20 hours or not. Like, you cannot, without doing a test like he did, A/B things in a meaningful way. Like, it's just all this marketing and all this like internet bullshit forum stuff of like, oh, everything sounds so much better. Like, you should have heard my speaker before I got it broken in. It was sounded like this, and now it sounds like that. It's like your like memory for sound is so small. There's no way you would have remembered unless you recorded it. You have no idea. And yeah, the marginal differences over like, well, reasonably marginal differences in that test were like, yeah, it wasn't really till it got like past 100 hours that the meaningful differences sort of started to happen. And yeah,
and again,
it was interesting.
The difference between 0 hours and 100 hours is probably way less than like two different speakers.
Yeah.
You know, the differences in there, which again is important to contextualize. It's like when you read these things about like IQ and people are like, oh, this entire population, their IQ is however many points on average. And you're like, yeah, but the difference between group A and group B is way smaller than the deviation between just group A on its own. So like, what are you trying to tell me, bro?
Yep.
That like we shouldn't give people money because they're dumb?
Yep.
Probably not. And with this, it's like, yeah, I think the thing with speaker break-in is normally it's, hey, I bought this speaker and I don't like it. What can I do about it? Mm-hmm. Oh, you got to break your speakers in, bro. So in 300 hours, they'll be better. Really, it should just be buy a different speaker.
Yeah.
You know? Because think about it. If it takes 300 hours to break something in,
That's, yeah.
just spend $150 and buy a different speaker and sell that speaker to someone who might like it.
Yep. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like, in a practical situation, like, imagine like doing that.
The amount of money you'll
way.
have to spend just to power the amp to like,
Yeah.
you know, the amount of energy consumed probably doesn't make it worth it.
Imagine having a speaker that you hated the sound of, and you're just sitting there
Waiting
all
for it to
day.
be good.
Yeah, just like 300 hours. Like, I better get onto this speaker, just sit there and play guitar. One day, I promise it's going to be like far out. Imagine like, yeah, doing that the old-fashioned way rather than just like pumping some sound through there.
Yep.
You couldn't do it. Like,
Nah.
so anyway,
would ya?
just buy a different speaker.
Total non-awkward segue. Last topic for today. The NAMM show's around the corner.
Yeah.
What are your predictions? What are some things, A, you would like to see, and what do you reckon will be the flavour of the year? What was the flavour of the year last year?
I don't know. Like, I feel like
It's probably going to be the first proper post-COVID one, hey?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, COVID is, I think the rates are also really bad at the moment everywhere, but that aside, I don't know, the Amped box stuff still, like the digital side of it with the things that came out in the back half of last year, the two notes, and then there's like IR things in everything at the moment. Like that Soldano X88
Yeah,
thing
that we talked about last time.
Yeah, should be coming out then, or like launch then, you'd think?
Yeah,
Probably.
I wonder, because I know a lot of companies, I mean, it's just the time to announce things as well, whether they're at the NAMM show or not. I saw Analog Devices who made the Shark generation chips. They've finally come out with their latest whiz-bang chipset. I've seen a few predictions that means there'll probably be a bunch of refurbished things. Like, how old's the Helix?
Yeah, I mean, 10, no longer than 10. When did that come out?
Maybe 8 years. Oh, maybe it was 2015, 2016.
Yeah, maybe.
Something like that.
It's been...
It's a darn good run.
Yeah. Because, like, the Shark's in the UAD stuff too.
Yeah.
And that was like 2009 or something.
It's long gone now.
I am interested, like, to move away from the guitar stuff for a second, like, I'm interested with the audio stuff if anyone does persist with that going forward, because UAD's made just about all their plugins.
Yeah, native.
They haven't made all their plugins. They're making a lot of them native as we speak. I have a UAD satellite Octo sitting on my desk there that I cannot wait to get rid of.
Yeah.
Because I really only use, of the like many UAD plugins I have, most of them have been ported to native.
Yep.
It's just the plate, the UAD 140 plate.
Really?
What is it? The EMT 140 plate. Yep. As soon as that is on the computer, I will just sell that for a few $100s. And that would be awesome, because then I can put that money into more guitar gear. So, yeah, whether or not they pursue it going forward, like, it doesn't really make that much sense. Same as Avid. Like, Avid hasn't released a HDX like update thing for a long time, apart from the Carbon, which isn't quite the same, but there's like not a flagship.
Yeah. I mean, the
DSP
native stuff's so powerful now. You know?
So whether or not they're like kind of the only ones really doing DSP integrated with, I guess like UAD and Luna, but Luna's like native as well now. So
yeah,
I'm interested to see over the next couple of years if that will, if anything will come out in those systems or not. And yeah, with guitars, like I guess like your Fractalies and your Kempers and all that.
Kemper have the player, which
that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one to me. It feels like the market is. It's something people have been asking for a long time. Like if you're the Kemper sounds great. It's a great system. The powered head as well makes so much sense as a portable thing, because you just put it on a cabinet and you go, or you run direct, you do whatever you want with it. And there's a massive ecosystem around, people spent lots of time and money profiling amps and buying profiles for it. To me, it's like if you've got, there's a whole subsection of Kemper users who use it to profile their own gear. So they go and record and then they profile the signal chain, they go and take it out on the road. The player doesn't do profiling. It can only load existing profiles, right? So there's like a critical functional thing missing. So it feels like a product that they're solely marketing to existing users.
Right.
Because if you wanted a capture device like Tone X is more accurate and it's cheaper, and like the pedal, it's... I have some things that I don't love about it, but it works pretty well.
It's probably a little bit bigger than the Kemper thing, though, right? Pedal-wise, I thought the Kemper's like a bit smaller, but I mean, that's.
But still, it's like it's a pedal. It's like it's not much bigger than a Timeline or a Mobius or something like that. So, or you've got, if you're recording, then obviously like stuff like Tone X or Neural Amp Modeler, you've got those things, and then I guess if you've got the all-in-one modeler thing you want capturing, there's a Quad Cortex. So it's like there's all these things that are sort of next gen that have, built on the legacy of what the Kemper's done. So yeah, it seems like if you have a Kemper, that's awesome, because now you've got a pedal board friendly thing.
Yep.
But if you were looking to get into capture style devices, I can't see why that would be the first thing you'd get.
Maybe that's after, when did the Kemper come out? That's been like 15 years or something, right?
Maybe no, probably getting there. Was it like 2011, 2012?
Okay, yeah,
I might be wrong about that.
But yeah, I mean, that's a lot of existing users though.
Yeah,
so,
and it's a good sounding thing, Yeah, sure, it's not the most accurate capture thing now, but they've got liquid profiles in there, so it's slightly more accurate, and it sounds good and it works. And
I haven't actually looked into the capturing like that versus Tone X like as a direct A/B. Is that like, have people done those videos?
People have done those videos, yeah. The Tone X is a lot more accurate.
Yeah, right. What about against the Quad Cortex and stuff?
I think whatever's going on with the like if you just look at the training times
Right.
on things, like the QC does a capture in 3 or 4 minutes. So it's like highly unlikely it's really doing anything too advanced. It also sounds good.
Yeah.
My theory with the Kemper is that like it's quite a basic thing, but you always end up with this kind of like honky mid-range thing.
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean. Yep.
Which gives you more mids. So you're like, oh, wow, it works so well in a mix, you know? But it has a sound. It does have a bit of that cocked wah thing. It's fine. I'm not dissing it. If you like that sound, it's awesome. But yeah, something like Tone X or Neural Amp Model, yeah, people have done, you know, side-by-sides and null tests, and it's...
Right.
There's a lower... And again, this is not saying that it's objectively, or like in a subjective setting, I should say, that it sounds worse. But yeah, there's like a higher error signal, I guess, if you like. But yeah, to me, it's a I don't know. It's just it's a weird one. It does make sense if there's a lot of existing users that you do that. So I'd be keen to see if Neural come out with just like a capture player. That's what they should have done. And the Kemper profile player should have come out 5 years ago.
Right.
You know, that's just one of those things where people have probably been asking for it. But yeah, like it's interesting that Tone X beat them all to the punch in that. Like it's a small box. You know, it's like what, $4.99 US or something. So it's in that like sweet spot price wise for a lot of people. It's a clever product.
I use the plugin probably more than anything else at the moment when I need that sort of style of thing.
Yeah, man, it's really good.
Yeah, and man, I've got the basic version too, but there's like usually a thing in there that's like good. Like,
yeah.
Well, I was about to say good enough. It's more than good enough. It's like completely acceptable and usable as a sound. A track I finished at the end of last year, I tracked a bunch of guides with it with the intention to re-record it. And
they ended up being fine?
Yeah, like the ancillary sounds. Like, yeah, right. I retracked all the guitars with... Well, I think I was telling you this. I don't think we spoke about it in the podcast, but like had to just really get a track done in the week before... Was it the week before Christmas? Yeah. Yep. And I did the drums like a week before Christmas, and then everything else had to be done like ASAP. But yeah, like, because I moved this whole rig around, not everything was plugged in and working.
Right.
Which is like defeats the purpose of having all this shit in the first place. Again, that was what this week was supposed to be for me, and it hasn't really worked out like that. But like,
and here we are.
Yeah, but thankfully the Recto was plugged in. So I used 3 different channels on the Recto. I used my Charvel for all of the guitar parts and used to use different pickups. And it's like, oh yeah, sometimes that's pretty much all you need.
Yeah.
I probably used maybe 1 pedal for that too. I used the fucking Timmy pedal, the little MX Up Timmy. Yeah. That was awesome. You go. So yeah, it's like, man, it's not that hard. Hey,
what a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive. Maybe I don't know. I always have these thoughts of like, I think I just know what I'm doing now. I think I just know what I like. It's only taken fucking 18 years.
It's only taken your whole life.
Yeah, I finished high school end of 2004. I started doing sound in 2005. So this is year 19 of doing sound for me. And I'm getting somewhere. Finally, I'm working it out.
May that be a lesson to you all. Never give up on your dreams, kids. I would be really curious to hear in the comment section what everyone's NAMM predictions or wishes are. Sometimes those predictions are often just like, you know, I would love a fractal that is the size of this mini Timmy pedal that does everything, and Bluetooth support and plays more good for me. But yeah, I know there's been circulating rumors for certain pedals and companies leak stuff. So please let us know in the comments what you think is going to be the flavor of the year for the NAMM show. And anything else to add, Troy, while we're here?
Well, just quickly on that, having listened to Tone Talk like 2 days or yesterday, it sounds like Friedman's got some cool stuff up his sleeve. I don't know how much is going to be at NAMM, but maybe some stuff for the rest of the year, which I'm interested in. So that's cool. I don't know, man. As always with me, I'm sort of more interested in accessories.
Yeah.
So, you know, how can I get everything functional in a way that makes sense to me? Because like, man, all the tools are there. Like, it's just, you know, it's not that hard really. Like once you got a decent distortion pedal in it, it's all fine. I don't know.
Well, on that note of it not being too hard, we're gonna soft out on all of you. Thanks so much for tuning in. We should do some more in-person podcasts for season 2. Yeah. This was episode 1 of season 2 of the Gear Podcast. Have a great time. Let us know suggestions for future episodes or guests in the comment section below. Enjoy the rest of your time on Earth. We'll see you very soon.
Peace. Do you want to do the Stonecutters handshake?
Yeah, we should.
This ready? Yeah.